You know, I talk a lot about having various types of content and that they are going to serve different purposes, and to not bash yourself if something doesn't perform well. Move on, try something different, or just accept that's that type of content and understand that it was never going to blow it out of the water, and that's okay. I don't have every post blow out of the water. Not even freaking close. I'm not even kidding. It's like once every 2 weeks where something like really lands and I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. The rest, I'm just out there trying to gain that know, like, and trust factor, and it's working. Welcome to The Creative Bodega, a podcast about content marketing, Instagram growth, and personal branding for female service-based solopreneurs who want to grow their business without letting it take over their lives. I'm your host, Em Connors, and each week I'll share actionable tips, expert advice, and unfiltered truths to help you create engaging content, connect authentically with your audience, and turn followers into loyal customers, all without the burnout. If you're ready to simplify your content creation, navigate the ever-changing trends, and build a business that works for you while staying sane in this crazy season of life, then you're in the right place. Oh, today's topic is honestly one of my favorite topics. We are going to dive into the world of Instagram analytics, really understanding your audience, but also optimizing your content. So I think one of the biggest misconceptions that people have is that you post something once and you can never post it again. That's it. You did it. You talked about it that one time. Well, let me tell you, I always say this, you're giving yourself way too much credit and assuming that all of your followers even saw what you posted in the first place, when in fact, I don't even want to tell you what the percentages of people that see your content is, because it's a little disheartening. But just trust me when I tell you, not everyone saw what you posted. Plus, there are 5,000 different ways to say the same thing and all these different types of content structures to use to convey that same message. I'm pretty sure people say, or they used to say, that someone needs to see something 7 times before it really sinks in or they understand it. People are busy. They're seeing it, they're consuming it, there's something they like about it, but then they're moving on and they're scrolling past it and moving on to the next thing. And let's be honest, like, we just don't have that much bandwidth in our brains to retain all of this. So I know that I'm actually not a huge consumer of Instagram. People always laugh when I say that, but you're not going to see me scrolling just for fun. Like, if I'm on Instagram, I'm literally working and I'm looking at my DMs and I'm answering people and I'm replying to comments and I'm getting out of there. I'm less consuming businessy type stuff and more consuming stuff that just makes me feel good, like all the florists or flower growers that I follow, or all the interior designers whose stuff just inspires me so much, or all the like Target roundup people. Ugh, don't tell my husband. But I was doing some research before starting this episode, and I asked my podcast assistant, that's a whole other episode, but I have a $20 a month podcast assistant thanks to ChatGPT. And kind of what she spit out was a little too in-depth for me. I'm not going to lie. I am not like psychotic about analytics at all. You will not catch me checking them except for once a month. That's literally like, I go into my Instagram insights one time a month at the end of the month. And it is to look up what my highest performing content was and to keep record of it. And I'll get more into that later. But I have learned in 4 years of doing this that constantly checking the analytics on individual posts daily is not a healthy thing for me. It really reminds me of my nutrition coaching days, when tracking food in something like MyFitnessPal, that works for some people, but for other people, it's just too much and they really get in the weeds and they start obsessing over it. I have that type of personality, so I just choose not to look. I post a month's worth of content, and on the 30th or the 31st of the month, or even the 1st of the new month, is when I go and look at how I did overall and what my highest performing content was. I'm not looking at what didn't do well. I don't care. I'm not going to dwell on that. Again, I'm a sensitive person, and if I'm only focusing on the content that didn't perform the way I wanted it to, it just wouldn't help me mentally. And in this game of owning a business and posting on Instagram consistently, like, I do everything I can to protect my mental load that I'm carrying. So let's talk about this. Like I mentioned, once a month, I have a very beautiful spreadsheet called my analytic tracker. And this is something I sell. I seriously don't even know how much it costs. It's under $20. I want to say 19 or 17 or something like that. And I go into Instagram, I pull up my analytics or insights, they're called, and I search by the last 30 days. So you probably know there's a little gray drop down box at the top that says 7 days automatically. Well, I'm going right to that and I'm saying, show me the last 30 days. And by the way, you have to have a business or creator account in order to look at this content. So if you have a personal account and you're like, where are my insights? They're not going to be there if you don't have one of those two types of accounts. So the first things I'm looking at is I'm actually looking at how many posts I made, how many stories I did, and how many reels I made. So that's at the very bottom of that first insights page. And I'm documenting that in my spreadsheet because I think that's important to sort of look at and track. Did I have a great month? Did I make more reels? Did I make more posts? What about carousels? So I'm looking at trying to average just under like around 25 posts a month, I would say, because I try to post 6 days a week. And 6 times 4 weeks is about 24. So around 25 times a month is how much I'm posting. So I'm looking at those numbers. Then I'm looking at my number of views. Again, this is on that initial page in your insights. And this month, let's see. No, we'll do my last month. It was 609,000 views. Okay. So I'm just tracking that. How many eyeballs am I getting on my content? And then I'm looking at the accounts reached. So that is going to be sometimes quite a large number if you have something going viral or not. This past month. Okay, so views last month, I had 781,000. Accounts reached last month, I had 190,000. And then my accounts engaged, which is also something you can find, is 24,000. So again, these numbers don't mean a ton to me. What I'm really looking at is the percent engaged. So the percent engaged is my accounts engaged number, which Instagram gives me, divided by my views. And views used to actually be called impressions. So my goal is to be around between 1% and 5%. And that is hard, especially the bigger you get. So last month I was at 3.11%. And that's something that's really important to me. Last year, towards the end of the year, I was like 1.7, 1.8. Then in January, I had a reel go viral and I jumped to 3.19. And this last month, that reel is still honestly going viral from December. So I'm at 3.11. So again, I'm just looking at that number of accounts engaged, meaning did they commented, they saved it, they DM'd me directly from that reel or post, divided by the number of views. And my goal again is 1% to 5%. Then I'm looking at my percentage of followers and tracking that month over month, how much it's grown. Now, if you buy this spreadsheet, I created it in Excel. My husband helped me with it. He's like an Excel wizard. And a lot of this I'm just plugging in, and then there's automatic calculations happening, like my percentage of follower increase. Again, this can be anywhere from like 0.1 to last month it was 3.31% for me. So you can't compare your numbers to mine. You're just looking for trends and you're looking for what the average is on your spreadsheet. So the next thing I'm doing is I'm looking at comments. I'm looking at the most commented on. So I will scroll down on that initial insights page. I will click on posts and I will click on the little filter option. And the metric that I'm looking at is comments, and I'll hit apply. I am then screenshotting on my phone the top 6. Okay. And then I am airdropping that to my spreadsheet. And so that I am so visual that having that visual representation of what content did well is just so big for me. So I'm looking at the number of comments for posts. I'm also looking at the number of comments for reels. So I can't look at them at the same time. I have to separate them out. Then I'm sorting by follows. You cannot look at follows for reels yet. I'm hoping they change that, but I'm only focusing on follows for posts because that's all I can get right now. Then I'm looking at saves. What content did I put out, posts and reels that got the most saves? And then I'm doing shares. How many had the most shares, whether that's just someone DMing it to a friend, sharing a link to a friend, or someone sharing it in their stories, which is huge for me for getting new followers. And then I'm looking at reach. So just to recap, I'm looking at comments, saves, reach, share, and then for posts only, because you can't do it on Reels, I'm looking at follows. Listen, there's a lot of metrics out there, but I just want to see overall what performed really well. And I'm going to have certain posts that get more comments versus saves. And it's important to me because why am I doing this? Like, what is the point of me looking at these numbers? It's so that I can know what content is landing with my audience and make more of it / reuse these posts that did so well. So when I'm struggling, like this year so far has just been like life has been lifing hardcore for me. I've had very sick kids. I've had kids getting surgery. I've been sick. Just a lot. It's just a lot is going on. Sports are wild right now for my kids with tournaments and stuff going on every weekend. So I'm not able to create brand new posts every day of the week. It's just not happening. But I can easily open this spreadsheet, which by the way is open 24/7 on my desktop, and scroll up 4-5 months and look at what content did well and be like, oh yeah, that B-roll video carousel post did really well. I'm going to go find that either in Canva or in Later, where I save and publish all my content through, and I can simply redo it. In fact, Later is so amazing, you guys. If I originally scheduled it in Later, I can just scroll back in my calendar to that month. I can find the post and there's a button that says copy post. I hit copy post, I pick the new day, the caption's loading, the hashtags are loaded, the images are loaded, and I don't have to do anything else. It is seriously just like the best thing in the world. So I know I talk about Later a lot, but it just really is my favorite. Its capabilities are insane. I'll make sure to put a link for Later down below. I have the cheapest starter package. I've invested in Later from day one because when I first started my business, I had literally 2 other jobs and children in preschool, and I couldn't be posting things on my own. So Later is a godsend for me. I invested before I was making a single dime in my business, and I've never looked back. So that's honestly, that's a podcast in and of itself, but that is what I want to say. I love tracking my analytics once a month. I do not look more than that. I am not obsessing over this. I'm looking at the key performance indicators, the KPIs for my posts that I ran through with you. Some of you are going to reach out. You're going to say, well, why don't you track this? Well, I don't know. I don't have a great answer other than this is what I do the minimum. I honestly do the bare minimum in everything I do. I don't want to do any more than I have to. These are the key performance indicators that mean something to me and that I understand, okay? And I just haven't found that I need to track more than this. And again, the main thing that I am doing with this incredible, beautiful, simple spreadsheet is that I'm able to reuse content really quickly and easily. And again, I'm so visual, and just grabbing that screenshot of my top 6 performers just does me wonders when I'm looking to reuse content. So let's talk about what content analytics really tell you about your strategy as a small business owner and what to look for. I want to tell you that not all posts are going to perform the same. That is something that I think is a huge misconception that a lot of people need to let go of. So I know when I post just a simple photo of myself and the values and the caption and I'm storytelling, it's not going to get as many saves or shares as an educational jam-packed carousel. It's just not. They're very different types of content, and they're meant to do different things, and that's okay. So I'm not looking at that and saying, oh, I'm never posting a photo of myself again. No. And I'm also not saying all I'm doing from here on out is carousels that are jam-packed and educational. No, because that's going to take me way too much time. That's not realistic for me. So if you know anything about me, or if you're in my membership, you know I talk a lot about having various types of content and that they are going to serve different purposes, and to not bash yourself if something doesn't perform well. Move on, try something different, or just accept that's that type of content and understand that it was never going to blow it out of the water, and that's okay. I don't have every post blow out of the water. Not even freaking close. I'm not even kidding. It's like once every 2 weeks where something like really lands and I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. The rest, I'm just out there trying to gain that know, like, and trust factor, and it's working. So when I spot some top performing content, I'll double down on it. I will absolutely repost the same exact thing or try it in a different medium. If it was a carousel, I'll try it in a reel format and see how that does. I'm also, maybe identifying content that didn't resonate and thinking to myself, that should have done better. That was actually a very informational carousel, and I think more people need to see that, or reel, and I'll try it differently. I'll swap the types of content that it is. A reel will turn into a carousel, will turn into a reel. I'll try a different headline. Maybe the headline just wasn't strong and it didn't get people to stop their scroll. I don't abandon the concept altogether. I just say, everything's a learning experience. I literally want you to just look at everything and think, I wonder why that didn't quite land. I wonder what I could try differently next time, right? It's all interesting and it's all data. And that's what I really want you to think about from this podcast. How can you start collecting data on your posts? The key here is that you got to be posting consistently. And that's something I can definitely help you with, especially if you join my membership. But the key here is, in order to get data, we need posts, right? And in order to have enough data to really analyze what we're doing, we need to be posting consistently. So posting and ghosting is not quite going to work. This is really for those people who are putting that work in and they really want to learn from the content they're putting out there and really work on getting better reach and engagement from what you are doing, okay? So some actionable strategies that you can do based on what you're seeing on your analytics: posting at the right time for your audience and you. Like, don't forget you, because sometimes later tells me the best time to post, and sometimes it's 11 p.m. at night. You guys, I've been asleep for like 3 hours at that point. You better believe I'm not posting at 11 p.m. For me, I work from about 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and I want the best chance to be able to interact with my audience. So I actually post quite early in the morning, between 6 and 7 a.m. And then I'm getting up around 7 and checking in with how it's doing and responding to people. And then I can check in and respond throughout the day. That feels good for me. And my audience seems to actually quite like those early morning posts. So do what works for you. Look at Instagram, see what Instagram tells you to do. Look at Later if you have Later. I'll put that link in the show notes, and figure out, again, what works for your audience and what works for you. But don't base it on one post. Literally post at the same time for 2 weeks straight. I post at the same time every day, but do it for at least 2 weeks straight to really gather that intel. Create more of what's working already. Don't reinvent the wheel. If you had a post 3-4 months ago that did well, post it again. You guys, I have posted at this point that I've posted 10 times. I'm not even kidding. And some of my longest standing followers who, like, I know them, they will comment on the 10th version of it and say, this is amazing. Like, I'm saving this. And I'm like, oh my God, how have you not seen that? I've posted it so many times. But here's the truth of the matter. Again, you're giving yourself too much credit if you think everyone's seeing what you post. And if you have a loyal, wonderful follower and they're seeing it for the second time, they're not going to give two you-know-whats. Like, they're not going to care. They're going to keep scrolling, right? And last but not least, really try testing new formats and tracking the results. So don't give up on concepts that you think are good that maybe just weren't delivered well or need to be delivered in a different medium. Maybe it was in a reel and you were talking really fast and text was flashing across the screen and we couldn't keep up with it. Try it in a carousel where somebody can really consume that information on their own time in a way that feels good for them. So, final takeaways. Instagram analytics, they might seem overwhelming. I understand that. But once you really know what to look for and focus in on, it becomes an incredible tool. Start by tracking even just one key metric per month, or a couple if that feels good, whether that's engagement rates or saves or your reach. And then use that to really make educational tweaks to your content. Over time, I really do believe this can lead to some really big results. So I hope this episode helped. Make sure to DM me on Instagram. Let me know what metric you're going to be focusing on moving forward. And be sure to grab my analytic tracker for like dollars. Again, shows you how close I am to like the stuff I sell. I forget. I think it's under $20, but I'm telling you, it is worth it. And if you're my membership, you get it for free. And if you're my membership, I remind you every month that it's time to track your analytics. And because I know you're juggling a lot as a solopreneur and taking notes is not always convenient, I've already taken all the notes for you so you don't have to. You can find all the links, the resources, and recommendations in this episode over in the show notes. They can be found at thecreativebodega.com/blog/7. All right, signing off. M. Connors here from The Creative Bodega. Thank you so much for being here today, and I will see you next week. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on the Creative Bodega podcast. If you love this episode, please be sure to share it with a fellow solopreneur who could use a little content creation inspiration. And hey, don't forget to check out the show notes for any resources I mentioned on the episode to help you create content that feels easy and actually gets you results. If you want even more Canva and content tips, head over to my website, thecreativebodega.com, or find me on Instagram under the same name. Until next time, keep creating, keep showing up, and most importantly, try and have a little fun with your content. I'll see you on the next episode.